Hi, everybody. Welcome on in. Trying things a little differently this evening. How's audio? Good? Oh, yeah. We have no camera for some reason. There we go. Sweet. How is everybody tonight? We are live on both Twitch and YouTube too. It's because I'm trying a couple things out. Waiting in line at Taco Bell. Very nice. Cannot complain about that. It does happen to be one of my favorite places to eat when fast food is involved. All right. Is that Maladus? I'm experimenting. I could actually do this. Ooh, that wasn't it. Hold on. Trying to pick up some of the doom scrollers. Partially, yes. I've also noticed that. Well, I'm trying out the thing that Artie's been doing recently, and he's been doing the vertical lives, and they've been going very well. So I wanted to try it out for myself, while also simultaneously streaming on Twitch. So I am live over there as well. And I just wanted to see the difference in performance. But fix the camera a little bit. but we can start out with what I have been working on. I haven't shown anybody yet, but this is the captain for the Reliquary Brotherhood that I was up way too late last night working on. I'm relatively proud of the way he turned out. I had some pooling on the cape that I'm not happy with, but can't really go back and fix it now. I was going to go and do some scribble text. Which I'll probably do now, and then finish his base. And then we'll get to work on the Deathwatch that I promised you guys. Add varnish all over there. Let's see. Got the pointiest brush. Malidus, I saw you message the Discord, and I haven't had a chance to read anything that you've sent. Did I hear you finished your Dreadnought? Hey, Raincloud. Full plate. Yes, we are doing the dual stream. I wanted to experiment with a couple things. What's is done working on magging up lane bait now? Is that the one you're supposed to send me? I'm kidding. Text is a little thick. It's on my list as well, since I heard Twitch has been working on some stuff lately. I am doing it mostly because I saw Artie's last few streams have been vertical, and I wanted to go in and see if I can notice a difference in performance as Rushtiv put so succinctly. I'm baiting the doom scrollers. The Patreon sub is an incremental payment on the Baneblade I owe you. Thanks. But yeah, we are live on both Twitch and YouTube right now. We'll see how many Twitch people will show up. If any. They may not. They may absolutely ignore me. Patreon is a payment plan for a Baneblade. We're a long ways from being able to afford a Baneblade. So, everybody, go over to my Patreon. Links in the description. Uh-oh, Raincloud's on Twitch now. Whatever will we do? Okay. So yeah, I was up way too late last night working on this captain. Because I hadn't actually solidified a paint scheme for the Reliquary Brotherhood. I had an idea of what I wanted. And so I did it on him, and I kind of like how it turned out. I don't know if anybody can see. It's going to say you only have to wait 3 years, but with GW price hikes, it'll be more like 5. Yeah, what was the last price increase? Like 4%? That's huge. I may be going strictly to eBay. Or finding LGSs everywhere I go. Nice mud. It's about to get muddier. So this was actually some, on the base, it was some apple barrel melted chocolate. And then over top of that was a layer of Agrax Earthshade, because that makes everything look prettier. Trying to set this up so I can read both chats at the same time. Streamlabs doesn't like it when you do that. See if we can make that work. Alright, so I am going to do some dry brushing on this base here. Make some things pop a little bit. Be using some Vallejo Flat Earth. My camera. I need to improve cameras at some point. Something made succinctly for this stuff. It's like twice a year now they've only been buying discount boxes, but combat patrols are too expensive. It's basically the only edition starter sets and Christmas Battle Forces that I can justify buying. See, and I wanted the Space Wolves box, but I didn't want to pay for it. And I also, I wanted the Emperor's Children's box. But I didn't want to pay for that either. What am I doing? Alright, see you, Raincloud. Where's my thinner? So, for everyone watching, we did in fact tie the pole for what chapter my final Deathwatch veteran should be from. And I want it to be perfect because you can't get the firstborn Deathwatch veterans anymore, which is mildly upsetting. What I see is I'd rather go through the pile of shame and print in minis, save up for a big purchase with decent value, multiple smaller boxes with bad value. That is a fair point. Probably something I should look into doing. A little bit more white would be helpful. Gotta properly dry brush this boy. So yeah, I was up until like midnight last night painting this guy. Because I went over him with the wash. The wash made the white gray look way too dirty. So I ended up going over it again and cleaning up the panels. And he looks decent. I mean, at 3 feet away, he looks good. But we shall see. Everything is freaking out on me now. I'm not convinced that this color's bright enough. I also need a different brush. As soon as this guy's done, I'm probably going to end up shooting a short. Because I'm pretty happy with the way he turned out. And then once his Deathwatch boy is finished, I'll have a short of him too. Well, the squad. Sweet. That looks alright. passable. Alright, now he's ready for the base. I was kind of proud of how his power sword turned out, too. I didn't do the sponging thing that I usually do. It's probably not going to show up that great on camera. Actually, it looks a lot bluer on camera than it does IRL, but it doesn't look bad. Alright, his base is done. I believe that means he's done. Hi, Ben. I appreciate it. This is the captain for my homebrew chapter, the Reliquary Brotherhood. I was up way too late last night working on him. And now here we are. But that's not what I told everyone I was going to be painting today. I just wanted to get him finished. So expect a short of him probably in the next day or two. But he's going to go on the shelf. With all the other potential homebrew chapters, of which there are a lot. But now we're going to work on this Deathwatch veteran. So we'll start off with getting all of the silvers. For all these, I'll be using Vallejo Gunmetal Gray. And we will be diving into those. Also, For anyone who tuned into last week's stream, those corn plague marines are finished. They just need to be primed. And they are sitting waiting to be primed, but it has been way too humid outside. Because naturally, the second that I got them done and ready to be primed, it started raining again. Because we've kind of been in a drought for the last month. And it's made things quite difficult for prime. Actually, no, that's not right. We were in a wet spell for the last month, and then we got a drought, but my models that were ready to be primed weren't ready yet because I didn't have them totally set up and ready to go to be primed. And then as soon as I get them ready, it rains and the humidity's back up. So I gotta wait on that now. So that's just my luck. I have a serious question for anyone who has an opinion. What do we think of the Mark 8? Just in its appearance, as compared to literally any other Mark. Are we fans? Not fans? Should the entire community get together and boycott it? Because I don't mind it, not gonna lie. And I think it's something that should have been more widely used. Because, in my opinion, it's right up there with the Mark 7. because I really like the Mark 7. It makes me sad that the Mark 7 is slowly going away. I used to like it, and like how it has some continuity with the Mark 10, somewhat soured. The backlash is disproportional. It's not bad, and it was a cool bit of storytelling. I'm with you there. And maybe this is the ignorant part of me. Maybe ignorant's not the right word. The oblivious part of me. But I feel like it's severely underutilized. Or was. It's not a thing anymore. Also, for anyone who doesn't know, I had a public poll in my Discord just yesterday for what chapter this guy should be from. The poll is closed now, but the options were tied between the Sons of Medusa and the Celestial Lions. It's also a shame the new Deathwatch weren't in Mark 8. I know. Of course, GW's making everything Primaris now. Which, fine, whatever. But the Deathwatch can't get their own version of the Mark 10? And I believe that there are very few customization options, from what I understand, of the new kit. Like, you have to make them the chapters that the pauldrons that are molded onto the arms are. Not really okay with that. I like the freedom to be able to make them whoever you want them to be. Which brings me back to what I was talking about. We tied Celestial Lions and Sons of Medusa. So I need to figure out a way to break that tie. So if anybody has any suggestions. I was kind of leaning towards Marauders personally, just because I kind of like the yellow. But I'm not trying to tip the scales here by any means. Also, I wouldn't really be tipping the scales because nobody voted for Marauders, so... I'm okay with Celestial Lions. Just not quite sure how I'm going to freehand the lion. That's going to be an adventure. I don't hear that. I think the pauldrons weren't molded on. Instead, each guy only has one of two loadouts with no standard. Okay. I don't remember where I heard that. It was probably just rumors and hearsay. It was like right after they came out. There's an Auspex vid where he goes over it if you want me to link it. Basically, what people are upset about is that you need to have one guy as a Devastator with one of two heavy weapons. It kind of sucks. Yeah, if you want to link that, I'll go in and watch it at some point. I am relatively ignorant about the tabletop, simply because I don't play, but I'm always interested in listening to what's going on. In general, sweet. Yeah, I'll go watch that. Get the gist. I was wanting to expand my stuff, my Deathwatch Fortress a little bit, because naturally I'm homebrewing that too. And I was hoping to expand my kill team a little bit, because kill teams can have 5 to 10 Marines. But I can't do that now, because you can't buy the Firstborn Veterans. I wanted a concise veteran squad. Yeah, kill teams are supposed to be super versatile, and now are weirdly rigid mix of melee and ranged, who have no true flexibility. I mean, I feel like GW is really shooting themselves in the foot on that one. And that is another book on my list, is the Deathwatch book. Just cause, and reasons. A couple of people from my store run the Bad Ab Warfan game. Any particular favorites from that lineup of Marines? Lamenters. I'm kind of a simp for the Lamenters. If you couldn't tell by the Angels of Sorrow back there. Red Corsairs are interesting. I don't know if I would call them a favorite. Not really a fan of the Mantis Warriors. I don't know why. Just maybe something in the aesthetic just doesn't really appeal to me. Let's see. Who else partook in that? I know Lamenters for sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I really am just a Lamenter's boy. It's gonna bug me now. I can't remember. I need to look up the other chapters that we're in. Carcharodons are okay. Exorcists. I think the Exorcists are cool. I would never want to paint them. Howling Griffins are okay. Marines Aaron are cool. Minotaurs, obviously. Currently in a four-way tie between Executioners, Exorcists, Howling Griffins, and Minotaurs. Sons of Medusa, Salamanders, Red Scorpions are intriguing. I don't know if I could get into them, but I kind of appreciate that they just kind of got screwed over. Executioners are cool. I like the Marines Errant. But yeah, obviously Lamenters. And the Sons of Medusa are cool too. And the Star Phantoms. I forgot about the Star Phantoms. They're neat. They're really neat. Honestly, so many of the Bad App chapters are so much more interesting than the mainline first founding ones. I agree. I am on board with you for that. I can still appreciate the mainline ones because, I mean, the legions and everyone is derived from them. And they were the main players in the heresy. But yeah, Bad Ab was very well executed. Very well explained for a last minute. Oh, we got to figure out how to explain that all of these different Marines are in a civil war with each other. And I think Bad Ab is probably one of the more realistic. I say realistic. We're talking about Warhammer, but one of the more believable campaigns because it didn't start out as chaos. It started out as we're not going to pay our taxes. It kind of devolved into chaos, but that's beside the point. Irrelevant information. I probably ought to paint the body of this before I continue. Well, maybe. Yeah, I probably should. I get all my bits. Missed a couple spots. The whole lineup of Forge World conflicts was way more fleshed out and well written than GW campaigns, which are basically just main characters showing up and winning. Yeah, they knew what they were doing. Like, I'm all for the story evolving, but I don't want it to evolve too fast because then you write yourself out of the universe. Because when did Bad Ab end? Was it 9/13 M41? I think that's right. The only reason I know that is because I had to figure out when the Angels of Sorrow were founded. Because I didn't want them to be a part of some obscure founding. Still an obscure founding. In the modern setting, they're only about 30-ish years old as a full-fledged chapter. But they've had some hard luck. The Lamenter's lineage in them is holding true. Even though, for some reason, their gene stock comes strictly from Blood Angels gene stock and not Lamenters. It was 9/12, but that's still close. I can never keep track of 40k dates. Well, I have an excuse. I did a fair amount of research. Because whenever I'm doing my homebrews, I strive for them to be as lore accurate as possible. Because it bugs me if they're not. That's just kind of the way I roll. But then whenever KDFL, things got kind of wonky. Because, like, uh, Devastation of Baal was 10 years after KDFL. But because the Cicatrix Maledictum erupted, they were still in 999 M41. But whenever Gilman got there with his reinforcements, Cadia had fallen 10 years earlier. So Cadia, at the time of the devastation of Baal, was at like was at 09 M42. And yeah, it's a lot. But I think that was kind of their cop out to make things in the timeline make sense to be happening at the same time. So like if you're playing the game and you want it to be taking place at a certain point, you could just say it was in the Imperium Nihilus and it's still 999. And so it is absolutely feasible that a lot of chapters in the Imperium Nihilus still don't have Primaris reinforcements. Because they haven't been reached by the Indomitus Crusade yet. But I know as soon as 11th edition rolls around, they're going to say that every chapter has been reached and reinforced. And it's just kind of wreck everything. Because for some reason they want to get rid of Firstborn, and I don't understand why, because Firstborn are awesome. Sorry, that was a very long-winded to say thank you. No, no loot. Don't mix that up, because I'm not that well versed. The whole Imperium Nihilist thing always struck me as like Grimdark old 40k is over here and new 40k is over there, but the writers have just never capitalized on that distinction. Yeah, I almost appreciate that it's more of a subtle thing, because then you can explain that you have the Primaris Marines and the Firstborn working in unison. Um, but if you want everything to be Primaris, then just say it's in what's the other one? Imperium Nihilus and the other side of the map. I gotta look it up. Is it just Imperium and Imperium Nihilus? That's how the map describes it. Imperium Sanctus. Yes, I knew that. I don't know why this not marked on the map. Yes, Sanctus. Hi, Artie. How's it going on the other side of the pond? I'm actually trying out this format because of you. I'm experimenting a little bit, because I've noticed you have been streaming in vertical, and so I thought I would try my hand at it as well. I'm also streaming over on Twitch. See if I can get any traction over there. Not hopeful, because Twitch doesn't like me. But we're trying. We were just discussing the timeline of the current setting and the wonkiness because of the Cicatrix Maledictum. And how you can say that it is still 999 M41 in the Imperium Nihilus, but in Imperium Sanctus, thank you, Maledus, it is M42. And that's justified in the fact that Cadia fell in 999 M41. But the devastation of Baal was also in 999 M41. But whenever Gilliman got to Baal to give them their Primaris reinforcements, he said, or it was stated that Cadia fell 10 years prior. Which would put the current setting in Imperium Sanctus in 9 M42. And it's very convoluted. Things are good, donkey. Vertical streaming's been working well thus far. Hopefully it will for you too. Yes, the fun of 40k calendars. Yes. Rather convoluted. But it's nice because then if you have, say if you're playing the tabletop, I don't play the tabletop, so it doesn't really matter to me. But if you have someone who wants to play all Firstborn, you can just say it's in the Imperium Nihilus, and their chapter hasn't been reinforced yet. And it works. Because I think it's GW's way of saying, sorry for progressing the timeline too quickly. Now, that's just my theory. I could be absolutely wrong. Plot twist, the year in 40k is actually 2050? Oh no. We've rescinded the timeline. That could pose quite the issue. I'm going to go ahead and paint the rest of that, the body for the bolter. Dark Age of Technology 2004. Yes, the dark times. Also, if anyone wasn't here earlier, I was up way too late last evening. And I was working on this boy. Working on the scheme for my Reliquary Brotherhood chapter. Color doesn't show quite like I'd like it to. That's the fault of the camera. But yes, I was up way too late last night doing this. I got the model and I wanted to test the scheme, and now I want to do a whole army. So, and the power sword is probably one of the better power swords that I've ever done. I can think of a couple ways I could have made it better. Like nulling it first. I don't know why I didn't do that. think you may be right with that theory. Heads up, your minicam is quite blurry. Can it be adjusted? Possibly. I've been having issues with this camera quite a bit. It has an autofocus, but it only focuses on things that are in the middle ground. So if you're in the background, it'll try. If you're in the foreground, you gotta back it with something. And then sometimes it might. I'm thinking about switching back to my old camera method, which was an old iPhone. Because I haven't been impressed with the quality of this camera. Let's see. Do a little bit of adjustment here. That doesn't help. Sometimes phone cameras really are able to pull their weight. And yeah, that's what I used when I first started doing this. And it did great, but I wanted something that didn't rely on anything else. I want something that would go directly into my PC. Let's see if I can adjust the focus here. Yeah, so if I turn the autofocus off, then you can see the middle ground, but you can't see the foreground. But I guess that's okay. You guys have relatively decent quality there, actually, compared to what you had before. Maybe even bring it back just a little bit. Nope, the other way. How's that? That's relatively decent, right? Maybe. At least with manual focus, we can see your work while you paint. This is true. Now we'll... Okay, the autofocus may be honed in now. Alright. I appreciate people like you, Artie. People who tell me these things. Yeah, that's passable. Okay, so now you should be able to see. Like I mentioned in your last stream, Artie, I went over him with a very, very light gray, and it almost looks white. And it could be passed as white if I went over it with some white highlights, but I wanted to darken it, so I went over it with normal oil. And then I went over the panels with the same color, the light gray, because I wanted it to be a little more on the grayer side. So that's where we're at. Keep that up in case I need to mess with it. Thank you. I appreciate it. I spent way too long working on him last night. But he is another member of all of the homebrewers that I have back there. All right. Very nice. What was I doing? Oh, I was going to paint the body of this. Do need to do that before I continue. Otherwise, I'm going to get anything done the way I want. Also, for your sake, well, for anyone else who's in here, we did tie the vote for who this guy is going to be a member of in regards to the chapter. So we tied between Celestial Lions and the Sons of Medusa. So I need to figure out a way to break said tie. I'm okay with either one. I was kind of hoping for Marauders, but just a little bias. Nobody voted for Marauders, but it's okay because I'm cool with either of those. I just picked a bunch of random ones that I like, and I threw them in there. Tester idea for your camera. Put a blank piece of paper card in your workspace where the camera's pointing. I think the grid of your desk confuses your focus. Lions for the win. The grid on my desk could be confusing my focus. Very well could be. Just so happens that I have some paper here. Time for experimentation. Now it just makes everything dark. Oh, I believe you're correct. Because now he looks fine. Nice. Very, very nice. I wonder how to get around that. Do you think if I had a lighter colored matte with less contrast in the colors that would help? Interesting. I may have to play around with that. But now it's super dark because it's trying to contrast. Just need darker paper. Precisely. I did grab some construction paper for my wife because I was using it for my last short. Where did I put it? I had it. Thought I set it over here. Let's try this. Oh, yes. Very nice. Maybe this will be my painting paper. Because indeed, the brightness of the white paper is a whole other issue. Troubleshooting will win the day. Indeed, it will. Yeah, I'm gonna have to work on that. Figure out a solution. But now is not the time. We'll keep this for now. Alright. Let's paint this body of the bolter. Probably have to go in and do some touch-ups after the fact to clean up what I've already painted. I should have done this first. But it's fine. Everything's fine. Everything's on fire, but it's fine. We're gonna take a couple coats too. It's really cool, by the way. Correctly decided that he'll be a celestial lion. I'm leaning towards celestial lion for some reason. Maybe it's because I see so many Sons of Medusa, or so much art as Sons of Medusa being in the Deathwatch that I just want something a little different. I don't know. But I do need to find a feasible way to break the tie. I would say fight to the death, but I think YouTube would frown on that. It's very rare that I ever actually paint the bodies of my bolters. Because 9 times out of 10, they usually just end up being black. But because Deathwatch think that everything has to be pretty, that's what we're doing. Flip a coin. That's valid. I don't have a coin on me. I do have my Warhammer coin over there, but it's still in the package. I don't really want to get it out. It's kind of a bummer. I'm just going to kind of wing it back there in that corner. Go back in for the cleanups. Any word on any script work, by the way, or has life been a thing? Life is always a thing. And it's about to become more of a thing in the next couple of weeks. I will not be streaming on Tuesdays for about 6 to 8 weeks, is my estimation. I will have plenty of time to write it. Actually, there have been some changes in the lore that I'm writing to where the original idea I had is no longer valid. So how would you feel about voicing Vashtor? Because that's kind of the direction I'm leaning. Same concept, just a little bit of a different way of going about it. Because I've been doing a lot of research on Vashtor lately, and he may or may not end up becoming the patron for my Fervent Storm. Reluctantly, of course, because they don't really want to work with warp entities more than they have to. But that is kind of the direction things are going. You're down? Good to know. There has not been a whole lot of time for writing lately. I'm lucky to have this time now to hobby. But here in the next couple weeks, I will be having a lot of downtime. So hopefully I can get that done and get it over to you. I've also added a little bit more to the Alperin War campaign with the Sons of Sorrow. If anyone wants to read my homebrew documents, follow me on Patreon, or subscribe at a certain tier on Patreon. You'll have access to those documents in special channels on the Discord. But yeah, I've added another little excerpt from that, being planet side. I believe, let's see. I haven't counted in a while. Let's see how many homebrews we're at. I don't think I've added any. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, we're at 10 homebrews. And we have models for 1, 2, 3, 7 of them. And yet none of them have full armies because my ADHD decides to take over. And I just paint whatever. That's one of the glorious things about having so many homebrews. Is if I get bored painting one thing, I can go paint something else. For instance, this guy was a blast. I had so much fun painting him. He was absolutely fantastic. Again, I was up way too late working on him, but I had a lot of fun. And I think he really fits the Dark Angels successor vibe. So. Alright, I think we're good with those. Now we'll go back in for the touch-ups. I enjoy painting a model or two from one group, then moving on. Precisely. I assume that's why you've formatted your painting series the way you have, jumping from your Alpha Legion to your kill teams and such. That way you don't have to focus on just one thing. Because I did that once, where I made myself focus on one thing. And it was pretty grueling. My possessed Marines, I told myself I wasn't going to paint or model anything else until I finished that squad. And I absolutely did. I was proud of myself for actually getting it done. But it took a lot. Because I wanted to see if it was something I could do. Because I still have a lot of models for the Fervent Storm that I need to finish. But that was just something that I wanted to experiment and test my limits a little bit. To see how difficult it would be. Sounds like you were the possessed one. I may have been. Yes, my soul may have been purchased in exchange for finishing the possessed Marines. I don't know who bought it, but they definitely got their end of the deal. All right. Done with that. We can move on to the gold. There's a little bit of red that I need to touch up. Go ahead and touch up the slide here too. What's up, Rustiv? 8, but then had a really bad coughing fit. Just got down trying to remedy that. Well, don't die on me. I like having you here. I've got to ask, what is your go-to Taco Bell order? Because that can tell you a lot about someone. Don't plan on it. I got armies to build. Yes, you do. How are the Ascalians coming along? Are they taking the mountains like they're supposed to be? I've been meaning to add some more to that campaign, but I haven't gotten around to it. Is this question open to the class? Absolutely. Everyone, tell me your Taco Bell orders. Go. All right. I think I'm ready for the golds. Get the gold out. And I want to paint the boulder shells with brass. Someday I'm going to organize my paints so I can actually find stuff. Someday. Personally, I like their grilled cheese burrito and their chicken quesadillas. Also, zero sugar Baja Blast. A man after my own heart. I love the grilled cheese burrito. And chicken quesadillas are to die for. And zero sugar Baja Blast. I don't drink anything with sugar. I've gotten into drinking anything either sugar-free or zero sugar. And nothing with artificial sugar either. I'm going to go in and paint these bolt shells real quick. Crunchwrap Supreme, Cantina Chalupas, maybe some of those potato tacos. I'm super hungry. Zero sugar Baja Blast is a must. Absolutely. Absolutely. I've never been a huge Crunchwrap guy, but that's also because I'm one of those people who is very much anti-tomato. I cannot do anything with tomatoes. Period. But I'm also one of those people who doesn't mind tomato-based products, like tomato sauce or marinara. I feel like I'm getting some deja vu. Have we had this discussion before? I tolerate ketchup. It's okay. But I can't do tomatoes. Like, spaghetti sauce has to be chunk-free. No chunks. If there's a chunk in it, I will throw a fit. Like the small child that I am. I'm the same exact way. Nice to know I'm not alone. And I don't know if it's a taste thing or a consistency thing. The thought of tomatoes just makes me want to vomit. Just give me meat, give me cheese. That's all I need. One bolt shell back there, but I don't really want to get to it. I had that same thing until a couple years ago. I could only do a raw tomato. I made it myself and then cut it super thin. Cooked tomato was never an issue though. Well, for me, it's any and all tomatoes. if there is any tomato form, I can't. I can do ketchup, spaghetti sauce, chunk free as well. I've learned I can do cooked tomatoes if they're crushed and mixed with something else. Otherwise, if there's raw tomatoes or chunks, I gag. Yeah, it's... I'm not okay with them. Not okay with them whatsoever. They are right up there with bananas. I can't do bananas. I can't smell bananas. I can't eat bananas. Because they just make me want to gag. And I'm almost 100% positive that that is a consistency thing. But also the smell, I can't really explain. Alright, we're gonna do the gold. Several gold bits on this guy. Oh, that's right. Already wanted me to do a coin flip. Need a coin. Do I have any coins? I don't know if I actually have any coins. Tar picks. Oh, good ones. Here is a slightly worn guitar pick. It says Dunlop on one side, and it's blank on the other. So the Dunlop will be heads, which will be Celestial Lions. The other side will be Sons of Medusa. So let's see how this goes. I do shrimp and I do fish and chips on occasion. That's it. Love bananas, hate anything that smells like the sea. No crabs, lobsters, most fish, nope. I can't do shellfish. That's a consistency thing. I don't mind the smell of it. I just don't like eating them. I don't like crab and I don't like lobster. I'm not really a huge shrimp guy. I'll eat it if it's prepared right. Like, I love tempura shrimp. I'll eat pounds of tempura shrimp, but yeah, that's my cross to bear. Fish and chips is there's a fish and chips truck in our area that goes around from city to city, and they sell Alaskan cod and chips, and it's amazing because they fry it fresh for you in front of you, and that's some of my favorite fish that I've ever had. So I get that whenever the opportunity presents itself. But all right, so heads, Celestial Lions, tails is Sons of Medusa. So Sons of Medusa. That sucks. I've had the pleasure of liking basically all food except for a few, like tomatoes and zucchini. Those went away fast as I became an adult. Well, I choose not to become an adult. That's why I'm painting little war dollies. Alright, so he is going to be a son of Medusa. I have to figure out how to freehand that. Okay, gold. There's a bar near me that sells beer in a gallon quantity, makes amazing fish and chips. Have to limit myself one trip every month max. right. Gallon of beer. Sounds like a lot until you're a Midwesterner like me. And you realize that a lot of beer is like 230 racks. Also, can we all agree that the USPS sucks? I ordered my hobby mat. He didn't deliver it today and said it's being held at the post office at the customer's request. What? I didn't ask for it? Oh, I can agree to an extent. UPS, I've never had any trouble. FedEx is god awful. If there is the slightest inconvenience, it could be something as simple as drizzling outside. And they'll be like, couldn't deliver due to weather. And I'm like, come on. We have blizzards with foot-deep snowstorms. And everyone else doesn't have any issues. But it could be a little breezy outside. And you won't show up. But our local postal service isn't that bad. I've never had any problems. But I also live in a small town where everybody knows everybody. So if somebody gets somebody's mail by mistake, they'll just give it to them. I've never had that happen personally, but I've been around it. Got a power rack from FedEx. USPS has burned me twice now. It's the same product. They really don't want me to get this hobby mat. Got a power rack from FedEx, and it took forever to get delivered, even when it was in my local facility. Pretty sure the drivers just didn't want to deal with it since it was heavy. FedEx drivers, they're insane. And they can't drive either. They will run people off the road because they're on their phones. I had a girl one time driving a full-on FedEx truck down my driveway and got stuck. But I guarantee that if it was a UPS driver, he would have gotten out of there no problem. It was a little muddy that day. But come on, if you have four-wheel drive, I don't want any excuses. Am I being petty? I feel like I'm being a little bit petty. Alright. I think that's all the golds. Now we're ready for the browns. Do our leathers. And I will be using the Vallejo Flat Earth for that. Dog requires walkies. See everybody later. We'll see you, Melodus. Thanks for hopping in. I'm excited for this dude to be done. He's easy to paint. Like, all the Deathwatch have been relatively easy to paint. So I'm not complaining about that. Alright. It's fair. Excited to see them all together. It's gonna look good. I have a feeling. Once I get his pauldron figured out, which I should actually look up. Because there are different Sons of Medusa pauldrons. Yeah, so there's clan pauldrons. The first, fourth, and seventh companies are all white. Second, fifth, and eighth company are white, are black on white. And then the third, sixth, and ninth companies are white on black. I have to figure out how simplistic I want to get. And I may actually attempt a little bit of a gradient. We'll see how that goes. I may just do the straight white in the first, fourth, and seventh companies. The Megura War Clan. We'll see how that goes. How well I can paint a perfect sphere. Just this focus out a little bit more. Sweet. Okay. Oh, and I forgot the gold on the portrait. How is the contemplation of making content going, Rushdiv? I know that's something we talked about a while back. Or has school kind of taken the forefront? School has taken the reins. I've been bouncing the idea of a podcast around in my head, but my roommates are too loud to allow that. Thinking I'll explore that post-college. That's probably fair. I had a similar idea when I was in school, but my roommates would not have been for it. Okay. Prepping for our wash step here. Might be too much. I need to get some more agrax. Starting to run low. All right. I would like to do a lore podcast. Not talented enough to do video editing, maybe streaming in the future. First guy to graduate. Make big boy bucks. I feel that. On a very personal level. I thought about doing lore. But the YouTube lore market is pretty saturated. So I probably wouldn't go that route. So a podcast is probably the way to do it, if I'm being honest. And I also consume a ridiculous amount of lore podcasts. So you would definitely have my support if you were to venture down that. I do have a nice mic and the ability to do it. Just gotta have time to write the script, actually discuss the topic. I want my episodes to be at least an hour long, if not more. Also valid. I have discovered that the most enjoyable podcasts, especially lore podcasts, are the ones that are conversational. So if you have someone to go off of, somebody to reciprocate any lore that you are dumping on them. I do have minimal podcast experience, so that's kind of where I'm coming from. So, like, Adeptus Ridiculous is a prime example. And also, Laying Down the Lore has been one of my favorites recently. And it's just three dudes talking about the lore of varying degrees of knowledge. Because that's another thing, you can't have three experts. You have to have somebody who doesn't know anything about it. But that's just my 2 cents. From what little podcasting experience I have. And what I've observed. So just gotta find someone to yap with. Precisely. That's gonna be the hard part. Well, for me, it would be the hard part. I don't know about your situation. Oh, I missed the gold spot. Hang on. Okay. Gun is going to be null oil. Should. Let's see, backgrounds on the flamer. That's how I usually like to do those. Sweet. All right. What's up, Silvers? Deathwatch. I run them with my Imperial agents, and I love the Corvus Black Stars. The Corvus Black Stars are badass. And I want them to be absolutely perfect, because you can't buy them anymore. I believe now we're going to null oil the gun. Heavy bolters for the win. This is how we are doing. I should probably thin it down, but I'm not going to because I'm a rebel. Why am I not thinning it? I'm lazy. Right, I'm lazy. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I just... You're not willing to do it. You have two? Did they take those off the store? I haven't looked. I just know they took the firstborn off. I don't ever plan on running an Imperial Agent's army, but I want to at least have these guys for Kill Team. If I ever get to play Kill Team again with Rain Cloud. Oh, that looks solid. So good. So good. I'll have to go in and look at that. I'm not very experienced with painting vehicles. I have several. I say several. I have an Impulsor, a Ballistus Dread, and a Contemptor Dread over there. That still needs to be primed. I'm waiting for the opportunity to do that. But let's figure out this Pauldron situation. Then we'll do our dry brushing. So, We will base it with our darker color. So the Vallejo flat green. We'll just do the whole thing. So it will be from the Megara warplane. Got some knights and a few titans. I need some knights too. That's something I'm wanting to delve into. Even though vehicles scare me, I want to try it at night. This is probably going to take a couple coats. Are you working on anything this evening, Silver? It's almost like a salamander screen. We'll bring it up. Second. Necrons. Very nice. Any particular Necrons? Doomstalker. Quite dead. That's a good first shade of green. Happy with that. Feel like Arthur Morgan. Feel like I got black lung. Got one of those deep chest aching coughs. I'm dying of consumption. Ugh, I feel that. Hope you're not getting sick. There's been a lot of that going on around me. People just spontaneously getting sick. Played it in Red Dead in a long time. You unlocked a few memories there. I have been playing quite a bit of Fallout New Vegas lately. in preparation for season 2 of the Fallout show coming out. Actually, this shade might just be good enough. We might not need the gradient. Still might throw a little bit of Gnome Oil on it. Or I'll wait until after I paint the skull. While that's drying, I can go ahead and paint base coats for the lenses. Alright. Pretty much dry. We'll go ahead and attempt this. See how well I can paint a perfect sphere. Oh boy, okay. Better pull up my reference here. Should I paint the skull first? That would probably be wise, wouldn't it? Don't want to make it too big, though. That is skull adjacent. It might be a little too big, but we'll figure that out whenever we get. Oh, I'm stoked for season 2 of Fallout. It's part of the motivation to get through this semester. That and also Christmas for working with the Lord. No kidding. I am of the opinion that the Fallout show was one of the best game to film adaptations ever created because it's so faithful to the source material. That's my opinion. Consider that how you will, but that's how I perceive it. A terrible circle. Good enough. I'd argue it is the best. Season 1 of The Last of Us is decent, but pales in comparison to the Fallout show. See, and I've never really gotten into The Last of Us, so I didn't watch the show. I just know that it was pretty widely accepted that it sucked. I can't have an opinion though. I think I made it a little too big. Cyberpunk Edge Runners was insane though. Also up there. See, and I've never played Cyberpunk either. Mostly because I've not had time or money whenever the games come out. So I don't usually play a lot of AAA games when they come out. The only game that I've really invested a lot into, as far as time goes, upon launch was Baldur's Gate 3. I adore that game. And everything about it. That's also because I'm a D&D nerd. I don't think that looks too bad. What do we think? I can get focus. Just gotta paint the eyes, and the nose, and the skull. think I made everything a little too big. Never played it either. It's just an amazing show. I'll have to check it out. Looks a little bit like an alien. Not very skull-esque, but it'll have to do. And I think if we hit it with just a thin, hit a normal oil, it'll really make it pop. That's probably too much thinner for what I'm doing. It'll be fine. I think it'll suffice. You have Netflix do it. Also not a game adaptation, but I love the Star Wars Clone Wars TV show from Cartoon Network. It was a huge part of my childhood. It was a part of mine too. Yeah, I attribute a lot of my childhood to the Clone Wars. But I was a Marvel or a Star Wars nerd, also a Marvel nerd. Comics and cartoons and all that. But yeah, I was a big Star Wars nerd. Okay. Let's do these lenses. And last time I did this, I used water. Didn't work quite the way I wanted to, so I'm going to throw some thinner in it. Hope that it works. Actually, I need some more. Between that, Adventure Time regular show, that was the best time. See, I didn't watch a whole lot of Cartoon Network. Most of my cartoon consumption was Marvel cartoons. And Phineas and Ferb. I lived and breathed Phineas and Ferb. Still kind of do to an extent sometimes. And next one. But I also didn't really watch a whole lot of TV. I mean, I'll watch my fair share, but I didn't really live on TV. Most of the time, I just ended up playing with Legos. That was my thing. I was very much indeed a Lego kid. Alright, can start working on the base now. I think. Oh, I didn't paste the Auspex, or whatever the apparatus is that is on his arm. Skull looks pretty good. Also, same. I watch a lot of YouTube. Yeah, I live on YouTube. Green Army Men for me. I had some Green Army Men, but they didn't see a lot of action. I was definitely into my Legos. Okay, let the white dry there. Go ahead and start prepping the base. Gotta dry brush a lot of this. Oh, and I got to do the purity seal down there too. Whoops. I'm missing all the details, guys. The fine details. Let's set up massive battles in the hallway to the dismay of my mother. Make literal minefield of foot destroying toys. I knew better than to take my Legos out of my bedroom. Because I knew if I did, they would get lost. And I had to keep track of absolutely every single one that I owned. Forgetting anything else besides the dry brush. Let's be real, Warhammer is just Green Army Men for adults. Absolutely. So I had a ton of Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars. Surprised I'm not more of a car guy. I did too. But I'm not really a car guy. I mean, I'm a car enthusiast. I see a 68 Camaro and I'm like, hey, that's a sick car, but can't tell you the ins and outs of it. Alright, we're going to do a little bit of dry brushing on the right pauldron. Make it pop a little more. Sweet. Happy with that. Do a little bit on the blade too. We'll do a little bit on the front of the flamer. I don't go super intense on the flamers. I don't have the cool burn gradient. It's fair. Yeah, I didn't really have a whole lot of varying interests growing up. I mean, I was a nerd. I like pretty much everything nerd related. Sci-fi, fantasy, comic books, cartoons. Do one more layer of white on the purity seal. It's really weird that I didn't discover a lot of nerddom sooner. Like, I know if I discovered Warhammer when I was in college, I would be a totally different individual. Because I would have dumped everything into that. Okay. Actually, I need to paint the pipe. Don't have any gunmetal left. I can be messy on the base on this because I'm going to do some glue, some PVA on the actual base itself. I'm going to go ahead and jump in and paint the seal. And I'm a breathing example of that. I haven't read a book in years, and this year I've read about 5 due to Warhammer and my girlfriend. I'm kind of in the same boat. I haven't really picked up a book in years, probably since high school. And now I have an entire collection of Warhammer books and no time to read them. I'm still in the Night Lord's Omnibus, and that's about as far as I've made it in about 2 months. So I'm not, I don't know if you can see that. I'm not, it's not that I'm a slow reader, it's that I'm not really, pretty much the only time that I have time to read is like right before bed. But I'm so exhausted at bedtime that I just can't keep my eyes open to read. Like, I have no energy to read whatsoever. And I would do audiobooks, but I don't want to pay for it. And I would have an Audible subscription, but so many subscriptions already that I can't really justify it. Still have some of our bright red left. So we use that as the edge highlight for the purity seal. It's not too wet. That'll work. All right. Put the Seraphim Sepia on the seal. The actual model himself is done. The base is going to take a while because once I put the PVA down, it's got to dry. So I will probably call it after this. Oh, and I gotta do the Auspex. I think it's an Auspex. Every single one of them has it. Quality-wise. Artie's got me hyperfixating on my focus. Some of that gunk in there. Too much. Something out. Too much. Put some of it back. Too much. Yeah, it's really all or nothing. Grief. Okay, maybe make it a little thicker. Try this. There we go. That'll work. I've made very little progress on Infinite and Divine as I move back home, and I've been busy with school. I want to read it though, just no time. Yeah, Infinite and Divine was one of the freebies that I got on Audible, and it's fantastic. It's a great book. I'm not a huge Necron guy, but just as a book, especially for a Warhammer book, it's wonderful. And it really lets you see into the Necrons. Okay. Do this number here. Here. Grab my PVA brush. Hey, Raincloud. Yes, I'm still live. Also, just put the fixed vape rub on. I'm ready to conk out as soon as the stream is over. It's not the same menu we started. No, it's not. This is what I was intending to do, and I've actually almost finished him in one stream. This was the intention all along. If you're referring to this captain, he's the one I stayed up until midnight last night working on. So I'm putting the PVA down on this dude's base. And then we will call it. Because I have to wait for it to dry before I can move on. The model itself is finished. We're just doing the base. Necrons have fun death lasers. Yes, they do. So it's stuff I'm putting on the base. It's just PVA. It's Elmer's glue. I'm using it to base the murky sub liquid from the planet that they're on. And once I finish that, and I put them all in the short, you'll see what I'm talking about. Because I have a couple shorts that I need to make now. One for the captain, and one for the Deathwatch veterans, who are now pretty much done. So, that was fun. I am happy with them, and I'm sad that I'm not going to be able to get any more, because GW hates Firstborn Marines. No sense. But that's the world we live in now. We live in the world of Primaris. Got here just in time. You did. Hey, Colden. You're on just in time for me to be wrapping up. Yeah, so expect a couple shorts this week. We'll have the Deathwatch veteran kill team, and we'll have this captain, who took way too much of my time last night. And my cat is telling me that I need to get off. Everyone wants the new stuff. Yes, they all, well, that's debatable. GW is really trying to push Primaris because it's Space Marine 3.0, and the redesign is something that they think that everyone wants, even though Firstborn are cool and they weren't broke. I don't know. I don't hate Primaris, but it feels unnecessary. Like, I'll totally make my homebrews have both. Unless one of them happens to be an Ultima Founding Chapter. But that's not the case with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. At least 6 of my homebrews. That's getting mad. So there is a mixture of both. Like for the Terminus Knights over there, their captain's Firstborn, and I've made the lore reason that he just hasn't had time to cross the Rubicon because he's been fighting orcs for a decade straight. So yeah, that's where we are. So thanks everybody for watching. Everyone who's made it this far. I don't think we've had anybody on Twitch, but I'm over there too. So you can find me on Patreon. That is an option. Mrs. Faceplant is getting on just as I'm getting off. Do you have any Primaris? I have pretty much all the Marines I have are Primaris, who aren't Chaos, because innately Chaos are innately firstborn because they don't have access to Primaris. But all of the Marines in the Angels of Sorrow are Primaris, and most of the Marines in the Terminus Knights are Primaris. And then this captain is Primaris, and I kind of want to start an army for them now too, because I really like this color scheme. Yeah. That was kind of the whole reason I bought this captain, was because I wanted to test the color scheme to see if it was something I liked. Yeah, and now we have Primaris Deathwatch. After forever, I bought one of the last firstborn Deathwatch kits that GW ever produced. So if I were to get more, I'd have to find them secondhand, and I don't know how that's going to work. He is a fat cat. How close is harvest? Probably the next week and a half. 2 weeks would be my guess. And then we're going to have to change the schedule, figure out what's going to happen. But yeah, anyone can find me over on Patreon. You join at certain tiers, you get access to certain channels on the Discord. Go join the Discord. We have fun conversations over there. Free conversations. I'm not one of those people who makes you pay to join my Discord. It's a fun place. So, follow me on Twitch, YouTube, and the places. And I will see everyone, hopefully, next week. So, thanks everybody for watching. And keep an eye out on my YouTube for a couple shorts coming up on these units that I've finished. See you, everybody.